Hello and welcome to episode 6 of GIIS SMART Webinar Series Choices and Voices. Explore, Adapt, Impact. An engaging series where we share the happenings in the field of digital pedagogy at GIIS. It's a series wherein we talk to pioneers from EdTech industry and our own expert educators who have invaluable hands-on experience and are involved in shaping the digital citizens of tomorrow. This is Deepika Sodhi from GIIS SMART Campus, Singapore, and I'm your host for today's episode, Creating Innovators, Students, Smart Engagement. I have with me our special and esteemed guest of the day, Miss Melissa Mann, Principal, GIIS SMART Campus, Singapore. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you, Deepika.
Miss Melissa has over 25 years of experience in the field of education and administration in reputed schools in Mumbai, Oman, and Singapore. Presently, she is heading the GIIS SMART Campus in Singapore. Having attained a master's degree in history, bachelor's degree in education, a certificate of educational leadership, as well as a certificate for counseling, Ms. Melissa Mann has been responsible for the qualitative learning of the students, professional growth of teachers and staff, and positive engagement with the parents and school alumni. She has focused on working towards academic excellence, quality in education, green and sustainability initiatives, emphasizing in students values of kindness, empathy, and service in the community. Once again, a very, very warm welcome to you, Melissa, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Deepika.
With the recent changes necessitated on us by COVID-19 pandemic, there has been a paradigm shift and future of education is changing fast. Here at GIIS, we are striving to blend and incorporate digital pedagogy through our own blended learning model. And aim of today's session is how at GIIS we are raising, creating, and curating students to be not only smart, digital savvy, tech savvy, and we are teaching them to be innovators. Innovators who are open-minded, who are creative, innovators who are risk takers, innovators who are willing to adapt to changes. This is the aim of today's session. Let's deep dive into it and discuss and share with our esteemed guest her thoughts on how at GIIS we are striving to create digitally smart innovators. According to Malcolm, education is our passport to the future, for tomorrow belongs to people who prepare for it today. Moving ahead with this quote to our guest, I would like to ask my first question. What do you think, ma'am, are the qualities of a 21st century global and smart student?
Let me thank you once again for inviting me to this session. And I'm looking forward to a very interesting session with you. Now, responding to your question, as educators, we have all been gearing towards preparing students for the 21st century. And there are several articles and write-ups that list down the qualities we should nurture in our students. We all know the 4 C's: creativity, communication, collaboration, critical thinking. And as a school, I think we have continually endeavored to nurture these. I do believe, however, that if our students truly need to be identified as global and smart students of the 21st century, then they also need qualities of being tolerant, discerning, empathetic, relevant, and most importantly, have an insatiable curiosity in them. We cannot but emphasize enough their ability to be tech sagacious, not only being consumers, but creators of knowledge for the betterment and quality of life to come. So that, I think, are the qualities of a 21st century learner.
Thank you, ma'am. Very well said. Creators of tomorrow. I mean, as we know that actually we need to keep creating, keep innovating, because we don't know what's in store for us. We never knew 1.5 years ago what would be the future of education, and I think we cannot predict how things may change across the globe in another 1.5 years to come. That was very insightful, ma'am. Thanks for sharing your thoughts. But I would just like to proceed further from here, that how at GIIS we try and instill these qualities among students, because you did mention on tolerance, empathy, along with being tech savvy. What do we do to instill this in students?
Like I've just addressed in the earlier question, we are preparing students for the 21st century. And we do this through various curriculum activities and opportunities that we provide. In fact, we are quite fortunate because our 9 GEMS pedagogic framework, it allows us the flexibility to provide umpteen opportunities to nurture skills of collaboration, critical thinking, communication. Now, with the move to the smart campus, technology has been used to enhance these opportunities in a large way. Like last 2 years, our school theme RISE, that is nurturing respect, integrity, skill development, and empathy, has been the driving force in all of us, in all our actions. Hence, I see a conscious and visible drive in nurturing all these requisite skills in students. The present crisis situation of COVID enabled us to see firsthand how well our students are being groomed to take on the challenges that they encountered now and that they will encounter in future also. Let me quote one example. While the school was in circuit breaker due to the pandemic, the academic team was looking for ways to keep our student community engaged virtually. And you'll remember how many discussions we've had. Then we had one of our students who came up with a brilliant proposal to run a 5-episode series quiz program for the students. Initially the team, all of us were a bit reluctant. We've never attempted a virtual quiz earlier, especially with the need to have no compromise on academic honesty and transparency from the participants. However, this child, he convinced us with his detailed plan of a virtual proctor to address the concern and run the event effectively. Now, this event happened, and it happened beautifully over 5 weeks with great compliments to the school on keeping students engaged. The success of this program actually it set a benchmark for all student virtual programs to come. This student was also called to share his knowledge and expertise to scale a virtual event involving 8 of our other campuses for an event of spelling contest. And again, he did it with extreme panache. Another example I want to share with you, Deepika, is, when the student came up with this very original idea of the first ever BizCon event, but he said, ma'am, I don't want to have a virtual event. I want to do a physical event, a face-to-face event. Only then it will have impact. Once again, how all of us were, because of the social distancing measures and all the guidelines, we were very reluctant because of the restrictions. But I saw creativity coming to its fore. They outlined a detailed safety plan for every room and accounted for every moment of monitoring the students, and once again triumphed in conducting a flawless event worthy of praise. They proved that if problems exist, Solutions can be found, and one only needs to never give up on your ideas. I have countless such examples to give
Yeah.
as testimony for our students being nurtured in the 21st century skills at GIIS Smart Campus. I think these two are enough for the time being.
I think thank you so much, ma'am. Yes, and many of us would agree with me that when we talk of student smart engagement, I think the way we thought ahead of the curve and kept our students engaged, not just engaged in terms of creating, innovating, coming up with new ideas, but also being part of the show involving students from across the globe, from all campuses. I think that proved for itself where GIIS is. And I think thanks to your leadership, Miss Melissa, probably never ever when a student has walked into your office, you've said no to the student initiative. And I think it's that idea, it's that creativity, it's that feel of getting that, giving that privilege to the child to go ahead and explore is what we've seen over past few years has brought us where we are. Be it pandemic, be it COVID, nobody can say that it was just not just academics where we excelled, but I am sure everybody would agree that we excelled even in events running. And you quoted so many examples. I too have some examples to give, like HiQ quiz, where we involved students, virtual exhibition that happened for the first time, art exhibition, I think you name it and we had it. And I think we did follow our calendar to the T, events calendar. So this is what we say when we are discussing about today's topic, creating innovators. We are recreating them.
Yeah. And I totally feel, Deepika, is that it's because of the way we've nurtured them to think outside the box, not to fall within the confines of a certain boundary. Children are able to feel free to come up with their creative ideas. I think we need these for the 21st century. And I think GIS is doing it in a fantastic way.
Yeah, I totally agree, ma'am. Thank you. I mean, when we say creators are born, I always say creativity can be nurtured. Creativity can be created. It can be curated. And I think that's what students of today are privileged for at this campus, because they do get that ample opportunities that they need. But if I may just ask you, ma'am, like what sets us apart in terms of technology as compared to other schools? Like we know we did not fall short of any event in our calendar. But how do you think we were different from other campuses during these 2 years when pandemic hit?
Deepika, to be honest, I may not be able to make comparisons with other schools for the simple reason I have not been part of their offerings to understand in depth what technology is being offered. However, one thing that I'm certain of is that GIIS has been in the forefront of offering best technological solutions to students, and that too early on. The test was when we were struck with the COVID situation and were forced into lockdown. I'm so proud to state that our readiness and scale of technology adoption ensured that we did not miss a single day of instructional time. And while all other schools were exploring ways and means to reach their students, we provided synchronous learning opportunities to our students. To ensure complete safety and security for our students, we had the highest license taken and ensured that our teachers and students could engage in meaningful academic transactions. Students who were stuck overseas too were not left behind, especially when it came to testing. Students could comfortably and conveniently do their online exams without compromise on academic integrity because of our robust proctored system being in place. Now, besides this, we have also done away with the manual process of attendance marking. This is done by face recognition system, leaving more time for teacher-student interaction in class. We have RFID cards to access library and canteen facilities, as well as student lockers. So if you ask me what sets us apart, these are modern technologies, and we've actually used them, for quite some time now. Actually, we've aced it, I should say. So,
Yes, I think we have moved with the times. I would rather say keeping in pace with the changing educational trends all across the globe. We've come far. I would totally agree with you. Certain elements like face recognition, attendance marking, temperature recording, that's all that happened online, in an automated form. I think definitely has set us apart, or let's say we've created our benchmark. But do you think, ma'am, I mean, what role has technology actually played or is playing in nurturing these future citizens? You've mentioned about 21st century skills, but what else? I mean, are we on the right track while integrating this technology? I mean, is it a boon or a bane for us right now?
I'm a firm believer that technology is an enabler. While it can never, ever replace a teacher, it ably complements the efforts of teachers put in to provide best stimulating learning environment. Technology, if you see, has also shrunk the world and it has made it borderless, thus providing students an opportunity to learn anywhere, anytime, and anything of interest to them that may not be found in their regular prescribed syllabus and curriculum. I remember a young student who was fascinated with forensics, maybe all the crime thrillers he watched or whatever. All the same, his interest was piqued, but he couldn't have his, questions answered during curriculum time until he was advised to use his free time and pursue online courses and read up literature available on the net. Having his own device to use, at school enabled the student to use his free time to read up and have his queries addressed. He also connected with people around the world to know their views and learn from them. He also was able to formulate his own perspective on matters and compare it with those around to make sound judgments. This is one example of how technology has enabled a student to prepare for his future aspirations while connecting with the larger world around him and thereby learning not only the subject of interest, but also about culture and countries that are beyond his. So interaction, formulating perspectives, collaboration, these are critical aspects of becoming a global citizen. Yeah. Interconnectedness while use of technology and allowing students to take a stand on issues of concern, provide solutions, become more empathetic and tolerant. Aren't these all part of becoming global citizens? And I feel technology definitely is aiding it very, very well. I think we've been able to scale all these experiences in a large way because of technology.
Absolutely agreeable, ma'am. I mean, the arguments that you've put, that activities like collaboration, in fact, now I love to say that it is education without borders. We don't know where the boundaries are, be it boundaries of time, be it boundaries of geography. We are connected 24/7. But do you think we can have students engaged again without technology, or is it now a prerequisite and we can't live without it? Because we come from times when there was no technology, there was very little technology. We used conventional pen and paper, but I am sure you will agree with me that we were engaged at that time too. So how do we balance? How do we compare? How do we move ahead? I would love to hear your thoughts on this.
I'll repeat, in fact, reiterate, I really actually strongly believe that technology is an enabler. It has proven to make learning accessible, relevant, and in many cases engaging and fun for the learner. However, I also believe that technology needs to be used appropriately at the right age for the right kind of outcome. Now, if you ask me, does a preschooler need technology to a large extent? Well, I would say few, maybe a device, yes, a few apps, as much, that would engage him for a few things. But for a preschooler, I am of the personal belief that play or experiential learning is more critical. Using device or apps at middle school, high school may have more relevance, compared to a preschooler. If you ask me, if a preschooler has to use technology, he may use it to record his daily activities and share it with parents. In that kind of scenario, I would say yes, technology helps. But yes, at a preschool level, it is a different ball game altogether. Now, the same, if you ask me, is a reverse for a high school student. When it comes to research, when it comes to collaboration, for perspective, etc., technology definitely is more needed. So I think the degree of use increases as the child progresses towards higher classes. Technology helps in a large way. I think this is a very critical point, to personalize learning and spark curiosity. Hence, it's helpful, like you said, in education, right? Overall. Yeah.
So, ma'am, I mean, is there any progression plan? Like you said, you yourself mentioned that for a preschooler, what may not be too appropriate, we need it at the middle school, we need it at the high school. So, how do you think we at GIIS prepared for this, that there's right progression for right aged students?
I think, we have quite a clear chart as to talking in terms of usage. How much time one will invest in, spending time on the device or using appropriate apps to make learning fun. Going forward, I also feel that more and more technology is going to be used because of the kind of advantage it has. I'm reminded of VR and AR and how it makes learning so live, and it makes learning so practical. It makes learning so firsthand. If a child cannot travel, because of certain constraints, that place can be brought live to the child to experience. So, in terms of progression plan, I think we are educators. We know the pulse of children. We know how much they need and at what age they need. So, of course, we have set a plan as to how and how much and what kind of technology should be used.
So that's right. So that means keeping students thoroughly engaged throughout, creating innovators. But what about teachers, who too are enablers to creating that sense of innovation among students? How were they trained? How were they professionally groomed? How did they took this?
Like I said, we have been early adopters of technology. We, exposed our teachers to a lot of technology even before the COVID situation. Each was given a device so they could explore on the device. There was ample of training provided. They are Apple certified teachers. And every time new training comes on, whether it is through Apple or whether it's through our own LMS, we have two different LMS that teachers can access for training modules. So I think we have always believed that our teachers are instrumental in whatever is happening, in terms of progress for our children. So if children have to progress, our teachers need to be 2 steps ahead. So they're constantly learning, unlearning, relearning, and making sure that they're they're ahead of the curve.
Right. So teachers were also trained. But I remember the time when we introduced innovation, creativity, and entrepreneurship. So this was the highlight of GIIS campuses, I think, under your leadership, ma'am, when you initiated it. And we have come far. I mean, that did set us apart from other campuses when it came to ICE or when it came to organizing events like RWCC, which is Real World Challenges Convention. So I would like to hear from you how you think, because of course with trends changing, with advancement of technology, do you think it was an enabler in that area too?
Yes, to a large extent, I would say, because, this year we are in our 10th year for the Real World Challenges Convention. And I've seen over a period of time how, with changing trends in technology, the theme of our RWCC also changed. So whether it was providing opportunities for teachers and students in learning new, whether it is apps or programs. So there were robotics, coding that was brought in, workshops were conducted, children were allowed, to be part of these workshops and create, they created various modules. Or whether it's an entrepreneurship where, children picked up problems that are daily, faced by us daily, and came up with solutions. And whether it was technology used solutions or not, they came up with working modules. They prototype and they pitched the ideas. So I think, school has always provided for children and teachers an opportunity to always keep exploring what is new available, because we keep creating these opportunities in the form of various platforms, and they have to kind of keep sharpening their saw, whether it's their the children or it is our teachers. Yeah, so I think, yes, with changing times, we've continued to provide platforms where teachers and students have got an opportunity to explore.
So I think I'm reminded of the vision that our chairman frequently shares, that we're not just a set of smart schools, but we are a set of smart teachers, smart students. So I would love to hear your thoughts on this, ma'am. How do you categorize this word smart, keeping parents, teachers, students, and school as an organization?
The word smart can be looked at with, in various forms. Smart as meaning smart people. It can also stand for an acronym, where we are talking of whatever we do, being smart, having smart targets, having smart goals, making sure that they are time bound, making sure that they are reliable. So for us, smart holds a lot of meanings. And in terms of technology also, we've always believed in doing things what others haven't done, actually setting the benchmark. We want to go where no one has gone, actually walk on that path and leave a trail for others to follow. So when our chairman said not only smart school, but smart teachers, smart students, and a smart, a community of parents, it is indeed providing for each stakeholder an opportunity to experience this smartness, be it in terms of technology, be it in terms of goals and targets set, or be it in terms of opportunities. I think we are also moving very, very, closely in line with our vision. To be a global role model, you have to be doing things before anybody else does and setting a benchmark.
Yes, so it's not just being global citizens, but we always say it's being global digital smart citizens. That's what we are trying to do at GIIS, and it's amazing to see. I'm sure many will agree with me that yes, we've been ahead of the curve, be it academics, be it events. Students have been kept engaged throughout. When world was sleeping, world was under lockdown, world was under intermittent periods of HBL, we had classes running fully virtual, partly virtual. We had students preparing for exams, we had students taking the exams. This definitely means what we've been saying, always keeping students engaged, and in that process creating those innovators, creating those risk takers, creating those open-minded individuals. And I personally feel you have to have those qualities if you want to innovate. You need to be an open-minded, risk-taking, balanced, reflective individual, and that's what GIS Pedagogy is doing. And thanks to the entire leadership team, thanks to all the teachers, thanks to all the parents as partners who are involved in helping us through this journey, so that we actually truly prepare digital global smart citizens. So coming back to you, ma'am, how do you think, what's now GIS plan going forward? Because we are already ahead of the curve. How do we take it up from here?
I think there are plans in the pipeline. to kind of grow, to spread, and to ensure that technology is being used, uh, infusing it with the pedagogy. We have to reach a stage that we are not using technology for using sake, just as an add-on, but something that becomes second nature to us, where children, our students, become, personally, I feel, not mere consumers, not consumers of what technology is providing, but become creators, like you say, become innovators, use technology for the betterment of life, their own life, people around them, use technology to become thinking human beings. So I think plan for GIS going forward, we are thinking of scaling, we are thinking of spreading, we are thinking of becoming that global role model, and at the same time making sure that our students become all rounded. They have a heart, they have a head, and they have a hand. So they think, they feel, and they serve. All three. We want rounded students. And I think our plan is moving in that direction by using technology and having children who are humane, um, like I said, head, heart, and hand.
I have no words to say with your this analogy of three H's. It's awesome. Head, heart, and hand. So I think that's what innovation is required. We need a head to think, we need heart to kind of make an analogy, set an analogy, why and how, and hands to actually create and curate it. Thank you, ma'am, for sharing this. It was a great insight and great sharing. Any one message or your mantra that you would like to share with all of us, all our viewers who are on the call?
I've something that drives me is, as we move forward, we have to carry with us an empathetic heart. I've always believed that kindness and empathy is going to hold every student in the greatest stead possible. You can become an excellent leader if you have these two values with you, along with all the other things that everyone talks about leadership. We want our children to have kindness and empathy with them. And of course, move forward, being good human beings and creating value in the world that they live in. I think my mantra is, let's make a difference. Positive difference.
That's amazing, making a positive difference. And yes, as you rightly said, through our 9 gems holistic pedagogical model, we are not only keeping students engaged, we are not only making them innovators, we are actually striving to make a difference. I've taken your tagline here, and thank you for sharing that, ma'am. With this, we've come to an end of our episode for today, the last and final episode on the GIIS SMART webinar series. I take this opportunity to thank our viewers who joined us today. A very, very special thanks to Melissa ma'am and her dynamic leadership. So thank you, Melissa ma'am, for being on the show today, taking out valuable time for us, sharing your insight and actually telling us how we are ahead of the curve, how we are striving to ensure that our students are engaged all the time and they become those smart innovators, smart creators, and so as to say the 21st century ready future young global adults. Thank you once again, all of you, for joining us today. Have a great day ahead. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Deepika.